Ooh, this is a spicy one. Let's talk about how many hours a week do millennials work. By the end of this video, you're going to be ready to drive incredible results and engagement with your millennial team members by understanding their approach to work-life balance. We'll take a look at millennials' level of career focus and their approach to work-life balance. We'll also have some real talk about what this question is truly about. And I'll give you some tips on how to inspire millennials to work more when you need them to. Okay, first, let's answer the question. How many hours a week do millennials work? Honest answer, it varies. There's no one answer, right? The variables are way too many, depending upon the type of job, the type of management, the location, travel, etc. So that's the first thing we need to understand, because the thing is that I'm actually not the biggest fan of the tone of this question. I think this question has a more negative undertone. The suggestion is that they don't work enough. But the concept of enough only exists in context. So this highlights one of the most important things we can do as leaders, especially with our millennial team members, is lead by curiosity, not by assumption or judgment. Whatever our idea is of how many hours millennials should work, we got to assess that within the context of what we need them to accomplish and the most effective and efficient way to have that accomplishment occur. So oftentimes, when it comes to hours, it becomes a conversation of volume, of how many. But I think there's also something to be said for looking at it through the lens of impact. What is actually accomplished in the amount of time that is used? Let's dig more into this question. Now I'm fired up. Because really, I think at the heart of this question is, do they work enough? Are they lazy? Are they selfish? Are they entitled? So let's talk about that. Let's look at the circumstances under which many millennials, most millennials really, entered post-college workforce life. It was defined by the 2008 global financial crisis. Jobs were not that many. The jobs that were available did not pay well. It took millennials during that era usually a very, very long time to find meaningful full-time employment. And during that time, they had to have somewhere to live. They had to have somewhere to go. They needed help. Many of them got that help from their parents, right? And what did the world do? We judged them for it. We made fun of them for it. We got the running joke about the 30-year-old living in their parents' basement. But serious question. How many 30-year-olds do you know that live in their parents' basement because they want to? I'm sure there are some, but not that many. You only do that if you have to, right? And those were the circumstances that millennials entered the workforce in. They got set back 5 to 10 years on the typical life milestones that happen for somebody between graduating college or entering the workforce and age 30. Now, especially the older half of millennials today, they've done the hard work of closing that gap. They are CEOs. They are senior leaders. They're rocking it. And most of them that I talk to on a regular basis tell me they don't believe they'll ever be able to retire. Because they have reason to believe that in the United States, Medicare and Social Security won't exist when they reach retirement age. But even if they do, they look at how much time they have to make money into their retirement savings. Many of them don't believe they have enough time to make enough money to ever stop working. One person in a workshop I was leading on motivating employee performance raised her hand and flat out said, "I don't believe I'll ever be able to retire. I believe I will just have to work until I physically can't anymore and then hope for the best." I mean, doesn't that sound like a really scary way to live? It is. And this informs millennials' relationship with employment, which informs how many hours they work. Because if they don't believe that they're going to get value for their time, they literally can't afford to stick around and wait for a promotion or a raise that might never come, or that might not be meaningful for their life circumstances when it does. And all of that right there is why they care so much about work-life balance, because they know that being dedicated to a career may not actually give them the security and the safety that they need. So first of all, the value proposition of being dedicated to employment is not proven out to them. Going back to that same person in that workshop I mentioned earlier, when I asked her, how does it impact the way that you show up at work every day, the idea that you might never be able to retire? One of the things she said was, it means that I have to enjoy life now. I don't wait to vacation, because there may be no such thing as waiting until retirement to travel and see the world. I have to make sure I take care of my health, because I might have to be physically working for much longer than I anticipate. And when I look for employers, I look, do they have a meaningful wellness program? Do they have great health benefits? Is this a place where I'm going to have work-life balance now that promotes my health in the long term, so I can work as long as I fear I might need to? That informs their sense of work-life balance. To those who don't understand or find that perspective innate in ourselves, it can be really frustrating. We can look at it and just think they don't work enough, and they feel entitled to not work enough, and that's annoying, that's selfish. But there are reasons for it, and it's all the things that I just explained. Now, let's talk about how to solve this, right? There are times when you will need a millennial team member to work more. If that's what you need from them as a business, that's what you need from them. You don't have to apologize for it. But you will have to motivate them to do it in ways that make sense to them. And since time is the primary component of concern for millennials when it comes to work, you need to show them that there is a pathway for them to get meaningful progression towards a safer and more secure future in a compressed amount of time. This is often why millennials are so pushy and come off as impatient for promotions and raises. It's not just because they feel entitled to things that you think they haven't earned yet. It's because they have legitimate concerns about if things don't move quickly enough, their future won't be secure enough. If you can motivate them in ways that make sense to that perspective, to their perspective, you will have a much easier time getting them to give you a higher volume of work hours. Thank you for letting me have this conversation with you. As you can tell, I'm really passionate about it. If you want to dig deeper into the tactics of how to effectively manage millennials, also known as Gen Y, in the workplace, go to the link in the description of this video. It's going to take you to my video on how to manage Generation Y in the workplace. Tons of tips, tactics, data that are going to give you a much clearer path to getting great results from your millennial team members and making them more satisfied in the process.